So why does your heart suddenly race when you're afraid? And why does your chest feel completely different when you're under extreme stress? I mean, can your emotions actually affect your physical heart? Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the established medical literature to answer a question that's fascinated people for centuries. But we're not talking poetry here. We're looking strictly at the anatomical reality right inside your chest.
Let's start by having you think back to a moment of sudden, intense fear. Maybe a car suddenly swerved into your lane, or you heard a loud crash in the middle of the night. You probably remember that visceral, physical sensation that hits you right after. Your chest feels tight, your heart is just pounding against your ribs, almost like it's trying to escape.
And, it's not just sudden fear. Think about moments of extreme, grinding stress, like right before you have to give a massive public presentation, or maybe during a really heated argument. You might get palpitations, a wildly accelerating heartbeat, or even notice completely distinct changes in how you're actually breathing. When we experience these really powerful bodily sensations, it's completely natural to wonder, is this just all in my head? Can our emotions really produce tangible physical changes in the heart? Well, the medically backed answer is a definitive no, it is not just in your head. Emotional states produce measurable physiological changes in your heart rate and your blood pressure, and this happens through a super complex web of communication between your brain, your autonomic nervous system, your hormones, and of course, your cardiovascular system.
Here's a quick look at our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the physical feeling of emotion, the brain-heart connection, fear, anger, and stress, what happens when hearts lose rhythm, broken heart syndrome, and finally, chronic stress and the heart.
Let's jump right into Section 1, the physical feeling of emotion. Now, to truly understand how our feelings impact our cardiovascular health, we have to look at how emotions actually manifest physically. And first, we need to clear up a really common misconception. We constantly anthropomorphize the heart, right? We say it's sad or it's heavy, but the heart itself doesn't consciously know anything. It doesn't say to itself, oh, I am afraid. Actually, deep limbic structures in your brain play the central role in processing emotions. Then, they produce those bodily sensations by sending powerful signals straight down to your cardiovascular system. Moving right along to Section 2, the brain-heart connection. So how exactly do those signals travel from the brain down into your chest? Well, the answer lies in an incredible anatomical highway called the autonomic nervous system. See, your brain constantly influences your cardiovascular function through two major branches. First, there's the sympathetic system, which generally increases cardiovascular activation. You can think of it as your biological gas pedal. On the flip side, the parasympathetic system acts as the brakes, supporting recovery and bringing your heart rate back down. Your brain is just continuously balancing these two based on whatever you're experiencing at the moment.
Okay, Section 3, fear, anger, and stress. Let's look at how this all builds up when we introduce acute emotional states. If we map out exactly what happens during a sudden shock of fear, it's basically a biological domino effect. Step 1, your brain processes a perceived threat. Step 2, that processing immediately activates a sympathetic autonomic response. Step 3, your heart rate instantly changes. And Step 4, your body reaches a state of highly increased alertness. It's literally a rapid cascade from your mind straight to your muscles.
And this classic fight-or-flight response creates very real, measurable physical realities. Your heart rate shoots up, your blood pressure rises, blood flow gets completely redistributed to prioritize your essential muscles, and your body gets totally prepped for physical action. Intense emotional states like sudden anger trigger these exact same cardiovascular changes. But it is important to remember that while anger can trigger these acute changes, a person's overall cardiovascular risk depends on a whole multitude of other lifestyle and health factors. It's a big puzzle.
Now you might be wondering, what about positive emotions? Well, different emotional states absolutely have different physiological responses. But we have to stick strictly to the established evidence here. While happiness definitely produces its own unique physiological responses, the medical literature does not suggest that just feeling happy automatically prevents heart disease. The relationship between our feelings and our health is super complex, so we want to steer clear of any exaggerated claims.
All right, let's look at Section 4, when hearts lose rhythm. We've talked about normal healthy responses so far, but established medical literature shows that acute stress can actually have dangerous effects on the heart's electrical system in susceptible people. Check out this fascinating quote directly from the Journal of the American Medical Association. Essentially, evidence indicates that uneven activity in your brain's hemispheres during mental stress can actually stimulate your heart asymmetrically. This creates electrical instability, which can facilitate the development of dangerous cardiac arrhythmias in certain situations. So, quite literally, your brain's electrical imbalance can become your heart's electrical imbalance.
Now for Section 5, the broken heart syndrome.
We're pivoting now from electrical changes to a severe structural phenomenon. And I want to be absolutely clear here. Broken heart syndrome is not just a poetic metaphor. It is a scientifically documented, completely real medical condition known as Takotsubo syndrome, or Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. Basically, an episode of severe, acute emotional or physical stress is associated with a sudden, temporary weakening of the heart muscle. It produces symptoms that look exactly like a classic heart attack, and it's all triggered by an overwhelming emotional stressor. Thankfully, though, this myocardial dysfunction is usually reversible.
Finally, Section 6, chronic stress in the heart.
Up to this point, we've focused really heavily on acute stress, those sudden moments of fear or shock, but we definitely need to distinguish those from long-term, prolonged distress. Chronic stress activates a whole host of biological systems over the long haul. It keeps your sympathetic nervous system constantly engaged, it activates your HPA axis, and it stimulates the renin-angiotensin system. Over time, all this sustained emotional stress can disrupt your biological processes, leading to things like endothelial dysfunction and inflammation. Now, chronic stress doesn't single-handedly cause heart disease. It works alongside other conventional risk factors, but the medical literature clearly identifies it as a significant contributor to overall cardiovascular risk. So we've seen how emotional states translate into measurable physiological changes, how sudden anger can alter your heart rhythm, and how prolonged anxiety can disrupt your vascular pathways over time. It's just a powerful reminder that our emotional health and our physical health are not two separate things at all. They are one highly interconnected system. So I'm going to leave you with this to think about. Knowing how deeply your brain and your cardiovascular system are connected, how will you protect your mind-body health? Thanks so much for watching this explainer, and keep learning.